Hey friends, Ash here. Welcome back to Gents. It's time to tear into another super hyped clone fragrance, this time by the house of Mykonos Conquer. And I don't know what's going on with this at the moment. It popped up a beauty house, right? So it was there. You could scoop it. And then right as I'm filming this video, you can search Mykonos Conquer and it'll pull up the listing for beauty house on Google. Then when you click through, it just takes you to the homepage. So what's going on? Nobody knows. I'm assuming it's gonna pop back up here pretty soon because I think like the whole Mykonos collection is not on Beauty House right this second. I don't know, man. But I'll have it linked in the description, assuming that I can find it like I did before. So anyway, like I said, this stuff, hyped. Yeah, lots of glaze. But if you go to TikTok at all, that is the word of the day, glaze. Just glazing donuts 24/7, but is this actually worth the hype? That's what we're gonna dig into. First off, let's go ahead and take a look at this presentation. Then I'll let you guys know how it smells. Le box. On the front, you have a little horse. You also have the name of the house, size and concentration. It is an extrait to parfum 100 ml. You get the name of the brand up top. On one side, it says scan to discover more, along with the QR code and some info on the fragrance itself. Conquer opens with the surge of bergamot, sharpened by ginger and cardamom. I'm not reading all that. But you do have the note breakdown there on the side as well. It says the fragrance was not made to announce itself, it was made to conquer. Conan the Barbarian apparently wore this, I guess. On the back, a little information like don't spray this in your eyeballs, don't throw this into a fire. You also have the badge code there as well. And then on the bottom, it says made in Indonesia. The box opens like so, as a little magnetic closure, and the bottle sits down inside. And then here we have the bottle, and yeah, this stuff is really reminiscent to 9 p.m. Night Out, just as far as the overall aesthetic to the bottle itself. It has that kind of cracked black glass aesthetic. Say that 10 times fast. It's actually pretty hard to say. Cracked black glass, cracked black glass. On the front, you have the name of the house, Mykonos. You have the size as well. The name is actually on a sticker on the bottom of the bottle, interestingly enough. And the cap does click into place. Let's do a couple sprays. Here we go. Ooh. Really nice pressurized atomizer. Only thing that would kick it up a further notch, a magnetic cap, of course. I guess we'll have to make do with what we got though. Now, as I said, Beauty House is where you want to scoop this one up from. I do have a code for them. It's in the description if you want to copy paste. It's also on the screen here with a bunch of other discounters. So if you shop at any of these stores, you can use those codes, save yourself some extra cash. All right, so all that crap out of the way, what does Conquer smell similar to? Well, of course, it smells similar to this. A little old fragrance called MYSLF Absolu. Very, very faintly popular, this fragrance right here. A couple of people somewhere wear the scent. And by that I mean it's all over the friggin' place and there's like 12 different dupes at this point, so yeah. Now the meat and potatoes, what you really need to know, because ultimately at the end of the day, the bottle don't matter. The box don't matter. What's on the inside? That's what counts. I think the Magic School Bus taught me that back in the day. Or maybe it was Wishbone. Remember that show with the little dog? All right, so Conquer opens up a touch sweeter than MYSLF Absolu. So if you do a side-by-side, spray one here, do the old whiffaroonie, you know, act like a totally normal person sniffing your arm back and forth through the day. This one has a little more sweetness to it. Can you tell though right away that it smells similar to MYSLF Absolu, that it's a dupe inspired by a clone of that? Yes, yeah, for sure. Oh, one other quick warning for you guys out there. If you get Conquer in, you spray it on right away, and your first thought is, this sucks. Don't worry, I've been there with you. This is one of those chosen few thousand fragrances that you can get in from, you know, dupe brands, where you spray it on and right off the rip you go. Kind of thin, little alcohol smell going on. You know what I'm saying. If you've been around, you know what I'm saying. This was hitting me with that, absolutely to a T, 100%. So I had to do the whole thing, you know, stick it in timeout, come back to it later, call it a bad boy. No, I didn't do that, but I did stick it in timeout and go back to it later, and it was a much improved vibe at that point. So be aware of that. I'm not saying that all bottles are gonna be like that, but I am saying that my bottle was like that. So when I'm doing this review, it's as it smells now, not as it smells when I first ripped into it, because that would be a totally different thing. Yeah, it sucked hard, dude. Nowadays though, opens great. Smells clean, fresh, polished. The bergamot and the ginger come through clearly, so it's got this nice lift to it, this kind of effervescence, you know, that sparkling sort of citrus opening. Of course, citrus and ginger go together like vanilla ice cream and Coca-Cola, or root beer, or whatever your drink of choice is. A float, That's what I'm talking about. So yeah, crisp, bright opening, smells fantastic. And then the cardamom actually comes through more in Conquer than it does MYSLF Absolu, at least off the top there. So I'd say it has a little bit more of an immediately spicy impression that it gives off, does Conquer. MYSLF Absolu, in comparison, actually has a little more bite to it. So that zing, that lift that I talked about that Conquer has, of course MYSLF Absolu has that as well, just actually more of it. So I'd say between the two that MYSLF Absolu has a little bit more of that almost, springtime bite to it. Conquer is, by comparison, the smoother of the two fragrances. You have more of a sanded off edge to this scent right here. And you also have vanilla that you can pick up pretty early on. So you get this little bit of sweetness that's kind of lurking there underneath everything when you first spray it on that you don't get so much over here in the MYSLF. Now do keep in mind when I point out these differences, ooh, the vanilla here, the extra zing, the extra bite that's over here. It's not like a night and day type thing, okay? It's not the kind of thing where you're gonna smell this and be like, my God, it's like a completely different thing. It's a revelation. No, it's more so that kind of deal where you do a back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and you go, oh yeah, it's a little bit smoother, a little more vanilla, but still pretty much the same thing. It's that kind of vibe. I'd also say in the opening side by side that MYSLF Absolu has more of an aromatic edge to it. So you get more of that coming through much more clearly in the YSL than the Mykonos. So I'd say in the opening, not a one-to-one, but you can clearly and very easily tell that Conquer smells similar to MYSLF Absolu. And if you like MYSLF Absolu, then you should like Conquer as well. It's that kind of opening where there's been tweaks, there's been changes, right? They've changed the EQ a little bit. Maybe they lowered the treble and raised the bass slightly, that kind of vibe going on. But still, at the end of the day, it's pretty much the same song. Close enough for sure that if you like MYSLF Absolu, you're gonna like Conquer in the opening. Also close enough for sure that if you hate MYSLF Absolu in the opening, you already get what I'm getting at here? Yeah, you'll hate this too. Now, as it settles in the opening, Conquer gets this really nice, pillowy, almost combo of iris and orange blossom that start to creep in there. It's a really nice touch. It adds warmth, it adds depth, but it doesn't get heavy feeling. The way that those florals work, they don't come in and just kind of lay there on your skin and turn it into something that feels more like buttoned up, more formal. And at that same time, MYSLF is starting to lean into that whole, YSL MYSLF laundry clean dryer sheet aesthetic. Conquer, by comparison, doesn't push as far in that direction, that dryer sheet kind of thing. It's not trying to do that as much. In comparison, it's smoother off the top, it's a little sweeter, and more floral padded. Pillowy. And then the mid and the dry down come on, and that's where Conquer starts to try to copy the homework of MYSLF Absolu a little bit closer. Yeah, in the opening, it was giving a little more effort. It was like, okay guys, we're gonna change some of these answers. We're gonna reword some of those things, Some of these answers I'm gonna make my own, while still copying what you did over there, because you make straight A's, and look, I'm a bit of a idiot. I'm not saying Mykonos is an effing idiot, but what I am saying is, in the opening, they switched stuff up, right? They were like, okay, we're gonna keep it the same, but we're gonna make some things different. Once it hits the mid and the dry down, they're like, man, it's too much effort. Just give me your homework, dog. I'm just gonna, yes, they won't know. Come on, teacher's not even gonna check, dude. There's still gonna be a little bit more sweetness hanging around on the Mykonos side of things, on the Conquer side of things, because it does have a little more of that underneath from the opening into the dry down compared to MYSLF Absolu. But I will say that in the mid and the dry down, it's more a nitpick kind of difference. It's one of those things where, sure, you can be pedantic about it and you can go, oh, yeah, I guess it's the same. But did you know there's 5% more of a sweet vanilla undertone in this one? Like, yeah, that's great, bro, that's great. It's there, it's just not as noticeable as in the opening. I'd say to me the biggest difference, and the one that's most noticeable between these two, once you hit the mid, is that, again, that sort of dryer sheet vibe that MYSLF Absolu has, the way that it approaches the aromatic meets floral aspect of the scent, that gets scrubbed down a lot over here in Conquer. It replaces that with a smooth floral blend, and then that vanilla waft, the one that you can pick up in the opening, yeah, it just hangs out there basically the whole time. Now, when I say vanilla, I know some people might recoil in horror because of how many different vanilla fragrances there are nowadays, but it's handled really, really well, actually. So we're not talking syrupy, we're not talking overly sugary, not crazy loud or anything like that, just a soft, warm, lightly sweet vanilla. Like I said, just a waft almost. It's like somebody laid some vanilla beans down, right? They laid it down here, and then they didn't want it to get too intense, so they had like a little pocket fan, and they just kind of just wafting that vanilla over in your direction. So it's not like you're standing over it, huffing it. It's not like, you know, concentrated vanilla. It's more, like I said, just this little waft. To me, in the mid is where Conquer fully locks in as an alternative to this, like a full, just like, instead of this, I'll wear that. It's very modern, fresh, appealing, easy to wear, polished, all of that stuff. It's one of those ones where kind of initially, especially, you know, the first spray when it wasn't very good, this is where through the mid, I started to think, this might be where it falls apart, you know? The opening close enough with a little twist, and then you think maybe it's just not gonna really kick into gear as it dries down, but instead what they do is they go, okay, cool, we know that you're here for this, so now we're gonna give you this, basically. Into the dry down, Conquer sheds just about all of the things that it was doing differently from MYSLF Absolu, and basically just goes, cool guys, you like MYSLF Absolu, here you go. Which could be viewed as either a nice surprise or maybe a little bit of a letdown. What I mean by that is a lot of fragrances right now in the dupe sphere, or the clonosphere, whatever, are coming out and the opening is capturing attention right away. And whether that's because they have a twist, like an interesting vibe that they put in there that separates it from the OG in a really nice way, or maybe they just capture what the opening of the OG did so well that you come across like, wow, this is pretty much the same thing. But then as it dries down, some of these fragrances are losing their way. Yeah, I've smelled a number of different clone fragrances here over the past 6 months or so that kind of do that, where they nail the opening and then it just falls to crap. This one's the opposite of that, where it gives you a nice twist in the opening, mild twist, but still nice. And then as it dries down, basically just locks in with what it's supposed to smell similar to and just says, cool, there you go. So that's how it smells, but how does it perform? So this is an extrait de parfum. And when it comes to that, people expect a certain level of performance. For me, wearing these side by side multiple times, this is more kind of in step with MYSLF Absolu. And in actuality, if you go spray for spray, this might actually come across to you a little bit weaker than this, even though I don't think it actually is. I'll explain why. So the atomizer, really fine dispersal. You see that? Like a huge cloud, great atomizer on this thing. But if you're spraying it out here and you're spraying it onto your skin, you're not really getting like one huge concentrated blast in one spot. You're kind of dispersing it all over, right? Now by comparison, MYSLF Absolu, a lot more concentrated. So like, let's say you do 3 sprays of this and 3 sprays of this, right? The 3 sprays of this are probably gonna cover all of this, whereas the 3 sprays here are gonna hit like an area here. So if you're doing that kind of comparison, going back and forth, this is gonna feel stronger to you because you're gonna have just a huge concentrated spot of that, whereas this one is gonna be kind of all over the place. And that's just because of these types of atomizers here. So yeah, in terms of projection, for me, pretty similar, though this one can fake you out. In terms of longevity, I think Conquer actually sticks around a little bit longer on my skin. So that's where that extrait de parfum comes into play. You get a little better longevity over here. But as far as performance goes, this is not absolutely crushing MYSLF Absolu, though to be fair, MYSLF Absolu is not weak. And in terms of seasonality, wearing style, all that, the exact same as MYSLF Absolu. Realistically, most people are gonna say probably spring, summer, daytime, maybe fall, daytime as well. But it's that kind of fragrance you can wear whenever you want. Year round, daytime, evening, doesn't really matter. Just like this one, wear it whenever you want. All right, so the overall verdict, the pros, the cons. At Beauty House for 50 bucks, that's what this was. It is a solid pickup. Be aware though, some people are charging more because it does have a little hype, and up until this point, well, maybe this point again, I'm not sure. Up until this point, it's been hard to find. Basically eBay getting ripped off. That was like your best bet. Because right now as I'm filming this, some people are asking on eBay $145 or so. Don't pay that, that's crazy. 50 bucks or less, that's a solid deal. Although to be fair, that is gonna be a little bit higher than your more typical clone fragrance pricing. You do get a lot of bang for your buck. Extrait de parfum concentration, really solid longevity, year-round usability. The quality is not a noticeable step down from the YSL or anything like that. And the twist that it has is actually really nice. So if you want a MYSLF Absolu alternative, this is one of the best ones you can possibly get right now. So the overall pros and the cons really quickly. First the pros, very close to MYSLF Absolu, especially in the dry down. That smooth, sweetened opening with a little extra cardamom touch is really nicely done. The vanilla is nice as well. The quality Quality is strong, absolutely does not feel like a step down from the MYSLF, and it's extremely versatile and mass appealing. Now the cons, the first one, when I first got it in, it was not great. So this may be one you have to kind of set aside for a second. It also lacks some of MYSLF Absolu's green aromatic bite, which could actually be a good thing if you don't really want that in your scent. And then the final con, it can be hard to find right now. Don't overpay. If you can find it though, scoop it up if you want a MYSLF Absolu dupe. All right guys, that'll do it for me. Thank you for hanging with me. Conquer, really, really good stuff. Stay safe out there. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you guys.